changed that fast. And he was just like looking mad confused. And so he was just like, it's not supposed to happen like this. I'm going to call the cops. You stabbed me in the neck. And I was like, please call the cops. Like, I want them to come. And he's like, just give me the knife and I'll leave you alone. I'll leave. And I was like, no, you know, screw you. Of course, I said other words. But, you know, I was like, you need to get the hell up out my house. I was like, call the cops. And he was like, he just kept saying, like, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. And so another crazy thing is, like, once I looked him in the eyes, like, his pupils were just, like, dilated, and he just had, like, no soul behind his eyes. And so we start fighting, and then he ends up grabbing the knife, and we end up like we're standing up somehow, and like we're fighting, and then I catch him like in the jaw, and like he kind of like falls back, and he gets up and he grabs the knife, and that's whenever he like stabbed me in the lung. And I hit him again, and he punched me like right in the same spot where he stabbed me, and I just like lost my breath, and I just like collapsed over. And so we start fighting again, and he's like, at this point, he's, you know, kicking my ass, and he goes for the knife, and like he's coming at me, charging at me with the knife, and I just, like I said, my mom and I both had box fans in our room, so I just grabbed the box fan, and I was like using it as a shield. And I was like, by the grace of God, I was like blocking every hit that he was, you know, attempting to take at me. And so the whole fight scene was kind of like a blur, and it happened so fast, and it still wasn't registering that I was stabbed. And until I looked over while I was on the floor, like using the box fan as a shield, I see all this blood like out through my mom's room. And I like was like, I still didn't freak out, but I was like, shit, he's trying to kill you. You need to get the hell up out of here. And so we're still fighting at this point. I'm still on the ground. And then all of a sudden, that light bulb comes on, and it's just like, grab his nuts. So I just grab his testicles, and I just like grab them, and I'm like just digging my nails into them, and I'm twisting them, and I'm like literally trying to rip them off. And he's just like, he loses it. Like, he falls over, and he's just like, you know, on the ground, like in pain. And so I got up, and I didn't have any traction because my mom had tile like down the hall of her house and like in the entryway. And so I was drenched in blood, and like the tile and the blood, you know, it was slippery, so I couldn't really run because didn't want to fall down and all that jazz. So it takes me a while to get to the front door. And so as soon as I open the front door, and I'm like right out the storm glass door, and then he like snatches me up, and he brings me back in the house, and there we go fighting again. And he that's whenever he stabbed me in the heart, and still going at it. And then he stabs me in the throat. And then once he stabbed me in the throat, it was like I couldn't breathe. And it was the sensation of like when you're underwater for a long time, and then you come back up, and you just gasp for air. Like, I was trying to do that, but I couldn't breathe. And I was just like, oh man, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying, like, oh my God. And he's just like, good, you know, you stabbed me in my damn neck, and, you know, just calling me every name in the book. And so I turn around, and I try to leave the house, and like he grabs me back in, and I slip and I fall back and I hit my head. And so at that point, I just lay there and just pretended like I was dead. And then I kind of like look over. He was leaning over. We had a dishwasher that was being installed, and it was in the entryway, and he was leaning over it. And I thought he was coughing up blood, but he was actually, he spit in my face before he left. And like when he did that, the thoughts of like, you sorry mother, like, you leave me for dead, you freaking raped me, and now you want to spit in my face. Like, I was just so livid. And so he leaves the house, and I'm laying there for a second, and I'm like, go get your phone. And I was like, no, forget your phone. You need to go get help. So I go to my neighbor's house, and I knock and ring their doorbell, and no answer. And I'm weak. I can't move anymore. I'm weak from the blood loss. And I just sit there. And I'm like, surely someone is going to come out to go to work. It's 6:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. Like, someone's going to come out and see me, and they're going to help me. So I just sit there and I just wait, which felt like eternity. But, I don't know, maybe like not even 10 minutes later, my neighbor comes out to walk his dog. And it's a different neighbor there, like 3 houses down from where I was at that moment. And my voice was a mere whisper. I couldn't talk, I couldn't scream, I couldn't yell, you know. I was stabbed in the lung and stabbed in the throat, so, you know, couldn't really talk, or I could barely breathe, you know. So, he sees me, and like his look is like priceless. And I'm just like, please come help me. You know, I just like wave my hand like this, like, please, I need your help. And he goes back inside, and for a second I thought he kind of got too freaked out that he was just going to leave me there. I mean, a woman who's drenched in blood, naked, with like duct tape still on her wrist and then on her forehead, like I look like something out of a horror film. So I was like, great, like, he's not gonna help me. So I thought that was my last hour. So I start praying, Lord, please, you know, just look over my family and, you know, just guide and protect them. And you know, I just started asking him to instill his word and his promise and his truth and his light into each of my family members. I asked him to forgive me of all my sins. And I told him I accepted him as my Lord and Savior. And simultaneously, me saying what I thought was my last prayer, a real faint but powerful voice in me was saying,